What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NBA Talk with Jay Money and the Shark, man. We back. It's Wednesday. We're trying to get some cash. What's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you, my guy?
Absolutely taking a breath. 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, winning Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. Apologize to people on Monday. 15 games. How could I miss it? I was sitting here in a power outage. I couldn't believe what was going on in my life. But we got 13 today, so they're giving us another shot here, Jay. Let's get in there. Let's discuss this big-time card today.
Yeah, let's get straight into it, man. If you guys know, it's all business here. Please hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Retweet the show as well, guys. If you saw us, if you saw the tweet on Twitter, if you can, just takes one click. Retweet it. We're trying to get as many people in here as possible. You see what I'm saying? We're trying to get the vibes going, trying to get the positive vibes flowing as well, my guys. So if you can retweet, and let's get straight down to business here, my brothers. First game up, man. We're going over here to the streets of Indiana here, Shark, where we got the Pacers getting 6 points versus the Denver Nuggets. Line open up at 5.5. It's coming up to 6. Pacers 5-0 against the spread. Can they keep it going here, Shark?
That's a great question. There's a lot going on in this game. And I think the first thing that really came to my mind when I started to cap this game was, if you go back to last year, Denver was an absolute ATS juggernaut in the first quarter and the first half on the road. I must have made 12 to 14 units or something like that, just taking that autopilot trend. And of course, as we get data within a season, trends really do develop. Of course, you're starting to see a trend developing with Indiana, as you mentioned. 5-0 ATS last 5. This, in my opinion, needs to reverse itself. I'm just not entirely sure if it's going to reverse itself here. We are immediately data deficient with Jamal Murray, MPJ, and the boys playing at the East. This is road game 2. They are showing a trend here early season. They are 0-4 in the first game going on the road. Outright loss at Utah in the opener. Blowout loss Monday, October 24th at Portland. Non-cover loss at the Lakers. And, of course, this past Monday at San Antonio, a non-cover 115-109. They are 2-0. In the second game of a road sequence, which would suggest Denver. You want to buy Denver in that environment. You want to fade Indiana off a heater here at 5-0 ATS last 5. Only issue here, Jay, is the line is shortening up. The last line last year was -10. Denver didn't cover it. Now it's coming to 5. Line for me is going to be a toss. We will get more information on these teams in these environments going forward.
Yeah, that's a good point here. Obviously, the Nuggets do have a game up on deck versus the Celtics. With them being an Eastern Conference team, not necessarily sure if they're going to look ahead to this one. Pacers been playing high. We said Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton, man, the main couple players over there. If you can kind of stop those guys, which the Nuggets aren't any defensive stoppers, they try to beat you without scoring them. Jokic is an absolute matchup problem. I think the Nuggets bench here could be a little bit problem, especially with guys like Bones Highland playing this one. They could have too much for this young Pacers team here. They've gotten hot. Teams are kind of overlooking them. If the Nuggets, if they take this game serious, they can get it done. If they don't, obviously the Pacers could beat them straight up. So it's not a game that I'm betting, guys, but I would lean the Nuggets in this one, my guys. I do think the Pacers obviously playing a little bit over their head, 5-0 against the spread last 5. Would lean Nuggets in this one, but it's not something strong enough for me to bet on, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Charlotte real quick. We got the Hornets getting 4.5 points versus the Portland Trailblazers here, my guys. You got the Blazers playing with a lot of confidence right now. They're 7-3 against the spread last 10 meetings versus the Hornets. Also 4-1 against the spread last 5. Coming off that 3-point, that game-winning shot there, they can kind of propel a team to a few straight wins sometimes, Shark. You think the Blazers keep it going here over here on the East Coast?
Tough cap. There's a lot going on here. As you mentioned, both teams come in here in very polarized positions, with Portland 7-3 in their last 10 and Charlotte 0-5 in their last 5. I don't know if this is going to reverse anytime soon. If you start to go through situational trends here, you do find Charlotte 0-2 in the front end of a back-to-back sequence. However, the key point here is both of those sequences were road home. They did get hammered on October 28th, the game that I had correctly, at Orlando, a game that Orlando was their first win of the year. They blew them out 113-93, and then they came home and beat Golden State slightly later on at Memphis, 31-point loss in the front end of a back-to-back, and then came home and competed against Brooklyn. This is different in that this is their first home road back-to-back. They do have a divisional game and back-to-back divisional games in Miami the next two games. I don't know if that's so much of a look ahead because they have lost 5 in a row and they are 0-5 ATS last 5. And Portland's in a sandwich spot here. Portland does play tomorrow night at New Orleans. That is definitely a much more inspired spot for them. Free play here, as much as I hate to say it, I would probably take Charlotte and expect a tighter game than people are thinking tonight.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Yeah, the Blazers, the Hornets are 0-5 against 0-5 straight up last 5, showing signs of going back down to earth where they belong. It's a tough game for me. You do get the West Coast team playing on the East Coast, but like I say, they're playing for themselves. You get a new sense of energy for this Blazers team. They're playing defense. They're well balanced offense as well. They have a major bench advantage and coaching advantage in this game. So it's Blazers minus the 4.5 or nothing for me. I could really see them taking that shot and keep it going, rolling that momentum into this game, my guys. Right now, the Hornets are a punching bag. It's Blazers or nothing for me. I'm not looking towards backing the Hornets right now. Let's get over here to the streets of Orlando real quick, man, where we got the Magic getting 7 points, Shark, versus the Dallas Mavs, and this one got a total of 214.5, my guy.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game yet again, and I think you really have to look at Dallas here. And I started looking at it last night, and I was kind of struck by the fact that Dallas hasn't really played a good basketball game since they hosted Memphis, the second game of the year. A game that Jay and I both had correctly, a game that they came out scorching hot. Luka had over 20 in the first quarter, 137-96. But since then, if we really go down this very quickly, at New Orleans, incredibly lackluster loss as a favorite. At Brooklyn, tried not to cover, gave it back, overtime win. Then this homestand, Jay, I mean, you're a fan. You know exactly what I'm about to say. This homestand was just so unbelievably lackluster. Outright loss to Oklahoma City, played down to Orlando. Really lackluster effort against Utah. That cost me as well. Toronto, they melted the game in epic fashion and didn't cover 111-110. And then the previous game, minus 5.5 against Brooklyn, another non-cover. And what I'm taking away from this is it just seems like right now, Dallas doesn't care to blow teams out. They just want to win. They're coasting spreads. You get a revenge game here for Orlando. Orlando's been effective at home. Orlando's coming off of a non-cover as a favorite against Houston. Line functionality here is kind of applicable. Maybe, maybe not. I don't have an official on this. I do want to take Orlando in this matchup tonight, Jay.
You're damn right. I want to take Orlando, Shark. And with everything you laid out, that the Mavs are teetering on a loss here, my guys. So look, for the Magic, real quick, 4 straight home game for the Magic, which is a bye spot. You get the revenge spot. They lost 104-114, October 30th. Shark, they led that game wire to wire. They opened up the game 23-13, was real hot, had the lead for 3 quarters, obviously lost it in the 4th quarter. So this is a bounce back spot as well off 2 straight losses. Now, Banchero is questionable, guys. So I always say, if you guys don't want to bet this, I understand. If you would like to wait and see if he's in. Also, Char, this game got moved up to it's 5:30 Eastern now because there might be some weather over there on the East Coast, so it's even an earlier start. I think this even spells even more for a letdown spot for the Mavs as well. First game of a back-to-back, guys. This is interesting shit here. People don't know this. Luka does not like Porzingis, guys. I won't spend too much time on this, but they have a huge look ahead tomorrow. It's not saying that they'll look past this game or don't want to win this game, but they have a spot circled in Washington tomorrow, double revenge spot. The last time they played them, they lost 135-103. Everybody was in for the Mavs in that game. Porzingis went off against them. They remember that shit. They're going to smash the Wizards tomorrow, and I believe they will, but I actually see them losing this game straight up today. 1-4 straight, but teetering on a loss, winning the last 4 games by an average of 3.7 points. They're 0-4-1 against the spread last 5 games. First game on the road after 5 straight home games, which is a phase spot. Early start on the West Coast, on the East Coast. It's a flat spot for the Mavs, and also they're 2-5 against the spread last 5 in Orlando. I'm on the Magic here, plus the 7 official play. It's my top play on the card here. Obviously, it'd be nice to have Banchero in there, but even if he's not, maybe you get a little Ciroc on ice here here. Give me the Magic in this one. I don't see the Mavs playing their best game. Tomorrow, we like the Mavs, but today they actually might lose this game straight up, Shark. Magic plus the 7 official play. Shark, could you talk me off?
No, I couldn't, and I think we align on that. The only thing I was a little worried about was the line, but when I started going through Orlando versus the West, key stuff here. Orlando this year, and I think that obviously I talk about line functionality all the time. It's not a pure model. It doesn't hit 100% of the time, so sometimes it doesn't. And Orlando with these home games against the West, it has not mattered. And I really draw you back to a game I lost where I had Golden State laying points in Orlando. And Orlando did show up and beat them outright. And I think you're onto something here. I think the Magic are absolutely the side tonight.
Yeah, and just the one last thing, Shark, I think the reason why the line kind of looked like it's on the Mavs was the last game, it was a back-to-back spot. So I know they kind of penalized you two points for being a back-to-back. So while they were laying 9 in that last game, 9.5, it probably should have been 11.5. It was because they were on the back-to-back. That's why I was a little shortened up. So regardless of that, I like the Magic in this spot. It's basically based on me knowing that Luka really wants that game versus Porzingis tomorrow. So let's see what happens in that one. Banchero's questionable. It's not ruled out, but there is a chance he could not play. I'm just here to bring you the info, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Toronto real quick. We got the Raptors land 10 points versus the Houston Rockets in this one, Shark. They land the total is sitting at 224. Rockets obviously coming over off of a win off of the Magic. Can they duplicate their success going up there to Canada?
This is going to be tough. I mean, you said it. They just beat Orlando. That's only their second win of the entire season. They are now 2-9. The last time they won a game, it was a home game. They went to Utah, slightly different environment, and that was a one-off revenge game for Utah with obviously a lot more motivation than Toronto theoretically has tonight. But they did not cover. They did not cover that game 109-101. Toronto right now seems to be turned up. I mean, we don't really have a lot of corollaries for Toronto at home here against the West. In fact, this is their first home game against the West this year. They played 5 home games. They're all against Eastern playoff-style teams. Go back to recent history. Their only game really against a bottom feeder within the West was at San Antonio, a game Jay and I had suggested had a very strong number. And you saw what they did. They did blow them out 143-100. There's not much going on in this matchup from any sort of matchup data. The last matchup, Toronto did not cover against Houston at home in the spring on an 11.5, 117-115. Line's hovering right around it. You saw what Houston did at Atlanta on a +9. It was the opener of the year, I believe. I pushed. I remember you said Ski won on a 9.5. Some people lost on the other line. It was just right on the number. This could be right on the number. I do think Toronto would be the lean if you were going to throw a free play on this particular play on this game.
Yeah, the Raptors definitely turning up here. They definitely have the better defense. Rockets don't really play a ton of defense on the road. They do probably have the better offense in this game, guys. Sound crazy, but the Rockets, they can play some offense. A lot of young guys, shifty guys, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter. Still got guys like Eric Gordon over there, Şengün as well. But the Raptors, just the way that they play, I always say it, man. If they're not getting called for those fouls, that they like to play real sticky defense, it could be a Raptors type of game, any game, man. So I'm not landing double digits with them tonight, but it's a tough game for them. I don't have much on it, so I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get over here to the streets of Brooklyn, Shark. We got the Nets laying 3.5 points versus the Brooklyn Nets. I believe this one is starting to go down to 3 right now. So this total starting to get hit. It's starting to go hit to the under. It was sitting at 220. It was at 225, the opener. Seeing 222s going down to 221.5 and 221 here. So maybe somebody likes the under in this one, man. But what you liking in this game, Shark, or if anything?
I think people like the under because I look at last year, and the last 3 games finished at 217, 217, and what is this, 208. So we had lower scoring totals in the last 3 last year. But again, we were just talking about this off the record. Brooklyn is hard to figure out because they're in such just turnover. Obviously, no Steve Nash was a huge move for them. Kyrie Irving being out, I don't really know what the deal is, if he's coming back after 5 or if he's getting counsel. I don't know what the deal is. Obviously, Ben Simmons putting up, mediocre stats, if you will. I was looking at his stat line last night. He's averaging like a halfway triple-double. He's averaging like 5.5, 6, and 6. So it's like, all right, we like halfway triple-doubles. But it is what it is. So you find Brooklyn here coming in here off a 3-game road trip and 3-0 ATS last 3. And I think the key thing about that is those are 3 games without Kyrie Irving. Of course, Kyrie Irving gets off the roster for a period of time. They go into Washington and just blow them out, 128-86. Then they cover against Charlotte, tried to give it away, but still held on a -3.5. And then a real scrappy loss, yet a cover +5.5 at Dallas on Monday. You come home, it is a tough travel spot, Jay. We talk about this all the time. If you really look at this schedule, road, 1 home game, and then they go to the West Coast for 4. LA, Sacramento, and Portland. So the Knicks get a short number. The line functionality here does suggest Knicks. Brooklyn is a little hot. They were all on the road. They're terrible at home. We don't know, again, if that's Kyrie dependent. They are 1-5 ATS at home. They're in a terrible spot. Knicks are 1-0 within the division on the road, a game that I had correctly on Friday night as a short dog at Philadelphia. This game, you could literally draw a great thesis for either side.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this game, man. I don't bet toss-up games like this. I do lean the Nets here, though. I think this team is turning up right now, whether it's without Kyrie or with him. You see what I'm saying? They're in a groove right now, and that's key for us bettors to notice when a team is in a groove. And me personally, I don't bet against it right now, man. Obviously, the Knicks, they're all over the place. Sometimes some games they play really good. Some games they're up by 20 points and then still lose the game by double digits. So I'm not sure what to do with the Knicks team. I'll be honest with you. There may not be a ton of games that I bet with the Knicks this year just because they're literally all over the place. I like the roster. I mean, the coaching is kind of sort of up and down. They're just somewhat of you never know what you're going to get from a team like the Knicks. They can be world beaters and they can, like I say, lose a game that they were up by 20 points. So I'm not betting this game. I know the Nets have been terrible at the house, but this just feels a little bit different. It seems like they're really starting to play for each other. We got to remember they got a new coach as well. So aside of the Kyrie thing, it could be that they're catching a win with the new coach as well. He's coached this team before. I remember when they were in the bubble, they beat the Bucks as like 19-point underdogs. So I'm not betting against the Nets team right now. It's a tough game for me. I actually probably still lean the Nets there. And they've somewhat owned the Knicks. They've 7-0 straight up last 7, only 3-4 against the spread, but starting to play a lot better there, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Boston, Shark. We got the Celtics land 12.5 / 13 points, man. It's 13 at a few spots out there. A lot of love for the Celtics in this one. Do you think this is a turn up spot for the Celtics where they'll take this game serious?
It's a good question. And, we were just discussing this, but Detroit has owned this team against the spread. And last year I had the final 3 matchups, went 3-0. Detroit competed. They were real close. They won outright in Boston, actually, the second matchup of the year last year, 112-111. And then they proceeded to cover the next 2 on really inflated figures, losing by 9 and 11, respectively. The last 6 matchups between these two teams have all finished inside of 11 points. So, of course, this does sound just absolutely fantastic. My only issue here is that this Detroit team is showcasing an inability to play on the road. And obviously there is new parts on this team. You have a couple rookies. You have a bunch of moving parts. This team is 0-5 straight up on the road. Excuse me. And they're 1-4 against the spread on the road with some noteworthy blowouts. At Knicks, lost by 24, lost by 9 to Indiana, back when Indiana was terrible. Lost by 21 to Washington. Got absolutely blown out by Milwaukee, where the line was shortening up, and we thought Milwaukee would be a fade spot, 116-91. I don't know. This is, for me, just a tough spot, but I do think that when books keep throwing the damn line out at -12, and Boston hasn't covered any of them, and Detroit is finally showing signs of just getting consistently obliterated on the road, this finally might reverse in Boston's direction. And if it does, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be Boston shooting about 52% from 3 and probably putting up 135 points tonight. So free play here. I actually am leaning more towards the Boston side because of all these dynamics, but this is going to be tough stuff.
Yeah, here's why I will not lay 12.5, 13 points with the Celtics here. Pistons are nothing for me. I mean, you could argue that them being 8-0 against the spread last 8 versus Celtics, they just played them well. No matter, because they always get a big number like this as well. In all honesty, with the Celtics, as a team with championship aspirations and a team that's just coming off of going to the finals as well, even though they lost, this is a game that you don't really care about here versus the lowly Pistons laying a double-digit points. Now, I guess what I'm saying is there's no real motivation here to just absolutely smoke these guys, Shark. I guess that's what I'm saying here. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Can they get high? Can they run and gun? They have a much better offense in this game. The Celtics could smite these guys by 30, 40 points if they wanted to. Like, say if they were coming off a bad loss or 2, 3 straight losses, they come in here and smoke these guys, but they're not. They're coming off winning 3 straight games. They've won 4 out of the past 5. And the main thing why I'm not laying the points with them, this is their 4th game in 6 nights. I'm not laying points with the Celtics in here. Road team is 5-1 against the spread last 6. Pistons did go up to Milwaukee and only kept that game within 2 points. They lost 108-110 versus the Bucks while they were smoking hot. So they can go on the road and play a representative game. I believe there was a back-to-back as well. Celtics only 1-3 against the spread last 4, 2-6 against the spread last 8 games. And like I said, 4th game in 6 nights for the Celtics here. So while they have been winning for the last 5, they have not been covering spreads, and these were even less bigger spreads than these are. I can see the Pistons being scrappy in this one, not trying to talk anyone off their play. If you like, go with what you know, my guys. But me personally, I'd be looking towards the Pistons plus the boatload of points in this one, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Atlanta real quick, Char. We got the Hawks. Land 2.5. It's going up to 3 now. The Hawks are actually starting to get popped as we speak, going up to 3.5, guys. So maybe somebody has some info that Trae Young will probably suit up in this one, Shark. How you doing? How we doing in this one? Jazz sitting number 1 in the Western Conference.
Well, I'm not officially on this yet, but I am holding the buy hat. This will come on later this afternoon, I believe. We're waiting to see what's going on with Trae Young. So, of course, Atlanta does have a front-end back-to-back here. They do play against conference rival Philadelphia tomorrow. So, theoretically, there might be a look ahead. But I don't know if this is going to be a look ahead. There's a lot of things going on in this game. Utah is 6-0 ATS last 6 games. And this is where Utah is just catching the West napping. This is their first game against the East this year. They've just been cleaning up ATS. Denver, Minnesota, New Orleans, Houston, Memphis twice, Dallas, LA twice, the Clippers. But again, the key point here is if you look at a lot of these covers, we've been talking about this, but Minnesota has a lot of issues integrating Rudy Gobert. The Lakers have been very inconsistent and notably horrendous on the road. Dallas, as Jay just discussed, taking the Magic tonight, they're just not focused right now either. There's a lot of things going on here, but I do think a key fade point here is a game that the Utah Jazz played at Denver on Friday, October 28th. They were coming off a home win and a cover as a significant favorite. And if you look at what they just did on Monday night, they just blew out the Lakers as a significant favorite. That particular environment found them coming off a 109-101 win against Houston in a cover. And they went into Denver and they got their ass kicked 117-101. So now you get the same exact environment and it gets worse. You're going cross country and you're going to Atlanta, which is an environment where you have not seen this group play ever before. And Atlanta here has lost 5 straight games to Utah dating back to last year. And you do get line functionality here with significance. Utah last year did lay -1 in Atlanta and beat Atlanta 116-98. At that point in the calendar last year, Atlanta was on a 3rd and 4 back-to-back. They were fatigued. I had Atlanta. I missed that game. I remember Donovan Mitchell went off in the 3rd quarter, I believe, and it was over. Then they came back in Utah, laid a very strong -8.5 and did cover at 110-98. So now you get a massive 12-point gap. Again, this should be 3 for neutrality. This is not neutrality. This is Hawks with emphasis. And I really do think the Hawks have significant merit tonight. As I said, I'm waiting on rosters, but we're looking at this with significance right now.
That's funny. I think it's funny that you say looking at it with significance, man. Yeah, I just started saying this shit. But I think, like, what do we say off the record, Chart, that the Hawks was going to catch a wind at the house. What are they doing? When you see them beat the Bucks that were on a 9-0 streaks, you know what I'm saying? When you beat them by 19 points without your best player, the Hawks are turning up at the house right now, guys. So I'm not betting against them right now. We said that this was going to happen. They closed out the road trip nice. Now, 4-game homestand. I could see him going 4-0 here, guys. I could see. I know Trae Young, it wasn't even his eye last game. He sat out because of sore shin, so he's had a couple games off now. They've lost 5 straight to Utah here, Shark. Why wouldn't they try to turn up here? They've won 3 straight, 4-1 at the house. Like say 5 times revenge versus the Jazz in this one, and you get that little element, my angle. First game on the East Coast for the Jazz here as well, man. So after they played all their games on the Western Coast, you know what I'm saying? First one on the East Coast, you can come out flat here. So Hawks first quarter would be a look, and for Hawks full game, I couldn't talk you off in this one. The Jazz, they're a really great team. They're number 1 in the West. They're balling out. They've won 5 of last 6 covers, 6 straight, guys. But obviously it won't last forever. Teams just can't overlook them right now. So, but yeah, with lean Hawks first quarter and the full game chart, what I'm really starting to notice when the teams go from west to east, that first quarter is the real spot where it's flat, but a lot of times it does translate to the full game as well. It's really trifecta spot. I know that the Sixers covered the trifecta spot versus the Suns, but the top spot in that game should have been the first quarter, my guys. So we're just talking it out here. I'd lean Hawks trifecta spot in that one, my guys. Yeah. Let's go over here to the streets of San Antonio real quick, Shark. We got the Spurs getting 5.5 points versus the Memphis Grizzlies here, my guys. This line went down from 6.5 to 5.5 overnight. Got 860 people watching live. Hit that like button, Shark. What you like in this one?
Well, on a suddenly not so casual winning Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, the buy hat is engaged. And a lot going on here, but this is your classic divisional line functionality where, again, you don't need to know the players or the rosters. Books, algorithms are telling you a story here. And you have to go back to last year. We'll go through it very quickly. Memphis opened up last year at home against San Antonio and laid 5.5 points. On the road in the revenge game, they should have been laying 2.5 for neutrality. They were laying strong 4, and they did cover at 118 to 110. They came home. It should have been 7 for neutrality. It was 8.5. They covered again, same exact score as the previous home game, 118-105. Then they came back down. It should have been 5.5, 6. It was 5. It was short, and they barely won the game outright, 112 to 111. So now in your most recent matchup, you go -5, win by 1. This comes up to 6.5. And I've already capped this correctly with the Clippers at the Spurs at -3.5 in the same exact environment, albeit not in the same division, on Friday night. This is where Memphis will turn up to win. San Antonio does not defend at all. I draw you back to Memphis in a game at Houston, a game they did cover on a similar figure. Memphis is off a home loss, and Memphis is 2-0 ATS road game 1. All boxes checked here. We're on Memphis -5.5, 1 unit official.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off at all in this one, Shark. The Spurs are starting to revert back to where they're supposed to be, which is a bottom tier team as well. I'm with you. And the Grizzlies usually play well in San Antonio as well. I could not talk you off this play, my guy. Grizzlies hopefully go in there and smack them up. Let's go over here to the streets of Minnesota here. We got the Timberwolves getting 1 point versus the Phoenix Suns. This line was at 2.5. It's since come down. I believe Rudy Gobert is back today. Not sure if that's good or bad for the Wolves. They have a lot of problems right now, Shark. You like anything here?
No, this is tough. The opening line suggested another Phoenix cover, and you really start to go through this last year. Phoenix owns this team, and it's gotten worse with Rudy Gobert. You go back to the beginning last year, 99-96, 134-124, a game in Minnesota that I had Minnesota thinking that they would finally get off this, this schneid against Phoenix. And Minnesota lost the game 125 to 116, and they completely melted the game. They were outscored by 22 points in the second half. And anybody that remembers Phoenix at the back end of last year, they were just a great fourth quarter team on the road. It didn't matter who they were playing or their fatigue on the calendar. They were great. And they did it to Minnesota. And then, of course, most recently this year, 116-107 in Phoenix on a 4.5, which was a strong figure for Phoenix. This opened up on the road at 4.5. That's a strong line for Phoenix. It's getting moved down. Chris Paul has injury issues. Cam Johnson just had surgery. Obviously, Rudy Gobert has not integrated very well. Again, theoretically, Minnesota should show up. I don't think so. I think this is definitely a Phoenix lead here tonight.
Yeah, the Wolves got a lot of problems right now, guys. I'm not sure what it is. Can't put my finger on it. I do think at some point they will get into a groove, but it's not right now. Gobert even sat out the last couple games, and they still look bad. You see Anthony Edwards out there standing. The offense is super stagnant. I can't bet this game right now. Shark makes some really good points there. Suns have basically owned them. They're coming off a loss as well. I'm sure they're going to want to get back on track. It's just a lot of moving parts for me. Real toss-up type of game. Not sure when the Wolves are going to actually turn up. This is a good roster. Just hadn't seen it so far, my guys. Tough game, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Oklahoma City here, Shark. We got the Thunder getting 6 points versus the Milwaukee Bucks here. And it's kind of crazy because I said once the Bucks take their first loss, then that's when they might have a little bit of an exhale, right? Now it's no real reason to go balls to the wall here. Drew Holiday did get downgraded to, I believe, questionable or doubtful in this game. Giannis may play, is probably playing this game. He's probable in this one, but saying this knee soreness last few games, there's a lot going on. What do you think with this one, Shark? Are the Thunder starting to go back down to earth?
Well, I'm situationally playing one unit on the first half, Milwaukee at -3.5. And this is where you can start to really cap trends in NBA seasons. And of course, for the first couple of weeks, we've gone back to last year. As I said, that was our best information. Well, guess what? Now we have even better information, and it's in-season trends. And what you're really looking at here is you're looking at Oklahoma City coming home off a road game. This team is already 0-2 in the first half, coming home in home game one off a road game. Sunday, October 23rd against Minnesota, came out and got hammered in the first quarter, did not cover the first half. And maybe a more representative one against the Eastern Conference and on full rest. Tuesday, November 1st versus Orlando, and they came out and did not cover the first half against Orlando. Get Milwaukee off a loss. Milwaukee holding some strength on this line. I think Oklahoma City could get there late in this game, but I do think Milwaukee off that loss, catching OKC in this specific environment and really, really centering in a final comment point here. Go back to Monday night at Detroit. They came out on fire in the first half. Now that will tend to reverse.
Yeah, sorry, Shark. Sorry, go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Oh, okay. No problem. And this is the real final comment point here is when you see Oklahoma City coming in here off a mini 2-game road trip and the final game at Detroit, they came out smoking hot in that game and melted it down the stretch. They were down 33, or they were up 33-28 in the first quarter. This whole cap, I swear, nobody wants to.
You good?
Nobody.
Nah, you good? Nah, you good? You good, bro?
So 33-28 out the gate, hot in the first quarter, and even better in the second quarter, 30-20. So they scored 63 points in the first half, and they were up significantly against Detroit, and then just completely cliff dove in the second half and actually lost the game and didn't cover 112-103. So now you come home, and this reversal is very, very real. They'll come home, they have to integrate, and they're going to say, guys, we just completely blew our load in the first half and lost. Let's chill out here a little bit. And Milwaukee should come out here. And final point, Milwaukee is 3-0 first half ATS on the road this year so far. So 1 unit official -3.5 first half.
Got you, my guys. Got you. Couldn't talk you off. My guys start their official books. First half, -3.5. Could not talk them off at all. Yeah, Halle is doubtful, but Giannis should be in this one, my guys. So still can get it done. Obviously, the Thunder don't really have a ton down low to stop Giannis, my guy. Let's go over here to the streets of Chicago. We got the Bulls getting 2 points at the house versus New Orleans Pelicans here. I want to take the Pelicans here, Shark. Simply put, I think this is a bad matchup for the Bulls. I know they're turning up here. I know the Pelicans had played a lot of games in a lot of days, some overtime games as well. Did obviously get a day of rest. They do in theory kind of have like 1 day of rest advantage here because you get the Bulls here playing on third and fourth here. I want to take the Pelicans here. I think they're too physical of a team for this Bulls here, especially down low. Saw one of my guys in the chat saying Pelicans #1 in points in the paint, which we know they love getting in the paint. Bulls don't really defend the paint too well, especially with guys like Vucevic. Is this a Pelicans or none spot here, Shark?
I wanted it to be. I found some counterpoints which got me off it. But, I mean, you talked about this. We have a pretty good sample here with New Orleans on the road at the East. Of course, the opener on Wednesday, October 19th, outright win with emphasis at the aforementioned horrendous Brooklyn home environment, 130 to 108. Slightly later on, they did cover the key point in regulation and non-cover in overtime against Atlanta. But that is important when you're capping this stuff because you're really capping 48 minutes of basketball. So you can say to yourself, all right, well, if we're assuming this game tonight will go 48, there are actually 2-0 within 48 minutes as an underdog at the East. Of course, go back to the last game against Indiana as a favorite. Mm-hmm. It seems this is where they don't function as well. Of course, we go back to a game that I lost, and I was not enthused about it at all, at the Lakers last Wednesday night, where they were up 3, they missed 2 free throws, a buzzer-beating 3, and lost in overtime. But that kind of spiraled this lack of efficiency on the road, where now they are 0-3 last 3 road games ATS. Of course, the non-cover against Atlanta in overtime, and then really just a heat check game for Indiana. You come back here, obviously 0-3 last 3. Only issue for me here is the line did tell a story last year. It seems somewhat applicable. Chicago did get them at 6.5 at home, 128-112. New Orleans came back on a really strong -3 at 9.5 gap and hammered them again. So the gap was gigantic and the result was also gigantic. Now you come back here 3.5 to 1.5. The Chicago Bulls did open this game as a favorite, which I think was a key point. This is getting steamed aggressively towards New Orleans. It makes it very tough for me. I think that's the moral of the story. I just don't have a look on this game. I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I want to take Pelicans here off the loss as well. Absolute no-show versus the Pacers. They were running on fumes. They basically, when you're running on fumes and you're at such of a rest disadvantage, you're going to take a few games off. The Pacers came out there and covered the trifecta versus the Pelicans. There was a takeoff game. The team was too fast for them. They will turn up here. They will see Levine and DeRozan on the other side over there. All right, guys, it's time to turn up here. CJ, Ingram and the boys, Zion can get whatever he wants in the paint down low. Valanciunas as well, man, and the bench, guys off the bench. I think they have the heavy bench advantage here as well. I lean Pelicans here early and often, and just here to bring you the info. The Hawks is going up to 4 here now, guys. So the Hawks is still getting steamed right now. Maybe somebody knows something out there. It's going up to 4s across the board in Atlanta. Just seeing it pop up right now. So maybe Trae Young went through shooting around or something. But in this particular game, I lean Pelicans early. I lean them often here, my guys. I hadn't played it yet, but I lean Pelicans first quarter, first half, possibly even full game here as well. I think they come out with a renewed sense of energy, and they actually come to play here today, going up against some big dogs, DeRozan and Levine. Couple more games here, Shark. 970 people watching live. Let's get out of here real quick. We got the Kings. We're going to the streets of Sacramento, Shark. We got the Kings getting 4.5 points versus the Cavs here. Cavs looking for a bounce back spot here.
Open the broadcast with it because I love the hat. It's a great looking print. We're taking the first quarter tonight, -1.5 official Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, this is situational stuff. It's what I was talking about with Oklahoma City coming home. Sacramento is just as good here. Sacramento is really developing significant trends here in the early going of this campaign with Mike Brown as their head coach. Sacramento is 5-0. ATS on the road, depending on the line you got at Orlando. Of course, Jay was talking about this. The De'Aaron Fox walk-off, -2 did cover. So if we're going to count that, they are 5-0 ATS on the road, which is a very significant thing for a team. And the key point here is coming home off a road game or the first game of the season. They are 0-2 ATS in the first quarter. They opened the campaign Wednesday, October 19th against Portland, came out very flat, lost the first quarter with significance. And I think the best corollary here, which is very, very good stuff, Sunday, October 23rd, they played a very tight game at Golden State and covered, lost outright 130 to 125. They came home on Thursday against Memphis, and Memphis did come out and cover the first quarter and the first half and actually won all 4 quarters going away. Now you get the same exact thing. They just played a super tight game at Golden State, a cover, a 3-point outright loss. Now they come home, they get Cleveland off a loss in I believe a matinee at the Clippers. Cleveland lost the first quarter on the road. This checks all the boxes to fade Sacramento in this specific spot. We're on it for 1 unit, -1.5 first quarter official.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Shark. There was a late night game versus the Clippers, and it kind of leads me to believe as well. That's something that people don't think about. And when I noticed that their game was super late night, I was like, the Cavs might drop this game. Everybody's on them. They think it's going to be easy. The fact that it's an East Coast team playing late night and West Coast, it works both ways. If West Coast teams going East Coast teams going late, playing the late night games. What did I say last year, guys? It's a real sleepy spot. It's not Steph, but it's a sleepy spot when you're an early type of team playing those late games. So I think that's a really sharp look here, Shark, going with the first quarter here before that full game late night type of spot catches up with them. But it's even a worse spot for the Kings here. First game at the house off of 3 East Coast games and then 1 West Coast game. And now you get back to the house. So yeah, Cavs first quarter definitely be the top look in that game, Shark. I like it. Last game up, we're going to the streets of LA here. Both LA teams playing up against each other. Got the Clippers laying 3 points, coming off a big win versus the Cavs, Shark. Can the Lakers find something here? They're getting 3 points here. Can the Lakers get a win here? Much needed win.
I think so. I really do. And on a suddenly not so casual, continuing winning Wednesday, November 9, 2022. We're going to the West Coast. We're going late night. We're going to the Lakers. We're going to the road locker room at crypto.com. A lot going on here. A lot of situational sustained trends on tonight's boards. Atlanta with the 5X revenge. You got the 8X ATS revenge for Boston. You have Utah 6-0 ATS last 6. You have Indiana 5-0 ATS last 6. A lot of trends that are potentially going to reverse tonight. And what you're looking at here is the Lakers on an 8X revenge game. The Lakers are also 0-4 ATS on the road this year, but I think this is more situational to those opponents. At Golden State in the ring ceremony, forget about it. And then at altitude at Denver, at altitude at Utah, and at, I don't know if you call it altitude, but center of the country, top Minnesota, uncomfortable environment. Staying at home in your home stadium in the road locker room is not at Golden State, Denver, Minnesota, or Utah. And you get the Clippers, who are also 0-4 ATS at home versus the West. Key point here, line functionality for the first 3 matchups last year did not matter. Now it is. And this is why I had the Clippers to cover in the opener, -5.5. Clippers were the road team. They laid 5.5. They covered. They came home. It should have come up 6, 7, 8, or 9. It's stuck down there. And this is getting steamed aggressively by, I think, mostly sharp action. This is where the Lakers show up here tonight. I'm on 3.5. Jay just said 3. I wouldn't talk you off. 1 unit, official. LA Lakers. Let's get off the road schneid tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, and if it's one place to get off the road schneid, Shark, it would be directly in their home gym. It's still road, but it's still their home gym. See what I'm saying? Staples, crypto.com, whatever you want to call it. The Kobe Center. That's what they should call it. But line coming down from 5.5 to 3 with everybody on the Clippers here, man. ESPN, I believe this is an ESPN game as well, right? Yeah, this is a late night game. Fish special here. I can see everybody hopping on the Clippers in this one. The Clippers offense is really stagnant, guys. I like the defense. They can switch everything, basically 1 through 10 on the roster. Really good defenders. This offense is not clicking right now, my guys. They're not in the best of shape. The Lakers need a win in the worst way. You got the Cavs coming off a huge. You got the Clippers coming off a huge win. Could definitely see letdown spot. Lakers need to show up here, Shark. I can't talk you off. I may ride with you personally on this one. When nobody likes it, that's when I absolutely love it, my guys. We got 1,045 people in here watching live, man. We broke down every single game. Let's get to some free picks real quick. I want to let you know, man. We got shirts over here, man. Let's talk about some shirts, man. $10 off shirts. Use promo code WIN10 over at the site, jmoneyismoney.com. You got Jay and Shark shirts for only $15, my guys. And you get a free pair of J Money approved glasses as well with your purchase of a shirt. Also, Smack City shirts, Us Against the Bookies, and let's get some cash shirts. My guys, let's get this cash. Use promo code WIN10 over at the website, jmoneyismoney.com, or just DM me. You can send Venmo, Cash App, all that good stuff. Shark, what we liking today on the card, my brother?
Well, I was going to say 4, but you know what? We're going to make it 5. The energy's high, and we know this spot is absolutely certifiably correct. 5 top plays, 9 words of lifestyle. Ride the wave out of the water. Lakers plus 3.5. Cavaliers first quarter -1.5. Atlanta Hawks did not wear it. We'll wear it right now. We're taking it at -3, 1 unit. Milwaukee Bucks first half on the road, -3.5. And the Memphis Grizzlies -5.5. Winning Wednesday, over 1,000 people watching. We appreciate you guys beyond words in any language in this universe. The energy is palpable. It is very real. J Money, close them out and let's fucking go.
Let's go, man. Let's cash, man. We ride with the Sharks today. I love the plays as well, man. I couldn't talk you off Hawks there. Even at the -4, they should probably trade is coming in, man. That's probably why it's going down. Can't talk you off the Lakers. It's Cavs first score. Some great looks, my guys. For me, man, I'm on the Magic here, +7. I see a huge look ahead game for my Mavs, guys. We love the Mavs tomorrow. For us to love them tomorrow, we expect them to take a little bit off the top today. We expect them to play with less energy today, my guys. Don't be a bit surprised if the Magic win this game outright. Banchero is questionable. I need him in there. This game has been moved from 5:30 p.m. Eastern, guys, 4:30 Central. So if you bet this game, it's not going to be on at 6. It's an hour and a half early. I think that bodes even more, well for the Magic here. They've been at the house, 4 straight home game, getting hot, coming off 2 straight losses. Must win Jay. Bounce back Jay here, my guys. We're going with the Magic here, +7, and I absolutely love the Mavs tomorrow, my guys. So that's 2 plays in 1. We hope they coincide. We hope you guys get some cash with us. It's Us Against the Bookies, man. Let's go freaking 5-0, 6-0 one time for the one time. Honorable mentions for me. Top play, Magic +7. Honorable mentions will be Nets. No, the main honorable mentions will be Pistons +13, Hawks, and then the Pelicans early and often in there with my guys. Still lean Nuggets, Blazers, and Nets, but they're not the honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are Pistons and Pelicans. The P's in that one, my guys. Let's get some cash. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go follow us on Twitter, and we out, my guys. Let's talk about some shirts, man.